and welcome to Toad TV. I am Mary Beth.
I'm Helen.
And we are the creative hands and minds behind Toad Hollow. And today we have a project that we've been working on for the past couple of days.
And it's for real this time.
It is. We put up our video yesterday saying that we were supposed to be finishing everything, but it was Mountain Day. And as everybody knows, Mountain Day is a day off. So, you know.
We had a lovely day.
We did. It was really a very, very nice day.
Yes. However, this week we have, as Mary Beth said, a project. We are making the Estuary skirts. This is the pattern here. And it's one of those things, you know, when you get intimidated by something. So you just put it off and put it off and put it off.
For
3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years.
And I'm pretty sure we bought this during COVID to do during lockdown. It was more the intimidation of sewing a garment.
Well, this is our only second time using a pattern that you actually cut out.
Right.
It's only our third time making a skirt. Yeah. So, I mean, we're very, very new to this. And as you said, the 100-day skirt was 2 pieces. Right. It was a piece of cake.
Yeah, this is a much more finished skirt, much more elaborate skirt. So
lots more pieces.
We decided that the best way to get something like that done, intimidating you, is make a video about it and
of course
make a schedule so that you actually have to do it. So
we're filming this after we actually finished.
Right.
We are now going to show you the video of us making the skirt.
I'm going to be using this Tim Holtz fabric. It is the Tickets.
I am making mine from Tim Holtz. The pattern is Receipt.
Tickets and Receipt.
Tickets and Receipt. If your chosen fabric is directional,
which way? So it's just a matter of whether you want inseam pockets or outside pockets.
Oh, so this is just telling us what we need.
Right.
Fold the woven fabric in half lengthwise, making sure the folded edge is on grain. Use the following layout to cut out your pieces. Okay.
All right, so first we have to cut out our pattern pieces.
Right.
We printed this out, I believe, in 2020.
Did we do it before
we
COVID or was it after COVID?
We were going to do it. I'm sure we were going to do it during COVID.
I'm really
like
hoping...
the placket says, cut 2 from main fabric, cut 1 from interfacing.
All right.
Got to be a lot of gathering.
What is all that?
What? This is where you place the pocket.
Okay.
So we have to mark on it somehow.
So we're going to cut 2 fronts.
On the fold. Is that the fold?
I don't think this is folded. I think this is the selvage.
Oh, selvage to selvage. Okay.
So 2 fronts. Pockets?
Whichever pocket you're doing, yeah.
Here's the front waistband, 2 of those.
2 of the
back waistband is on the fold towards the selvage. 2 of the back. Where's the placket? Did we cut a placket?
I did.
Okay.
It's on here somewhere.
Okay, here's the front.
Here.
Okay. So 2 plackets and 2 more pockets because we have 2 pockets front and back piece. All right, so we need to pin it on and cut our fabrics.
Yeah, we should probably have
pins. Pins would be good. All right. I'll be right back. I'll go get pins.
What are you doing?
We said that we didn't have 45 inches across.
Oh, I was doing it a different way. Okay.
How are you doing it?
I was going to move it this way as opposed to moving it this way.
Oh, I got you. So that it's not sitting on the floor.
Okay.
Smart move. I approve.
I mean, our floors are pristine.
Yeah. And anybody who says otherwise, I will fight you on that. Okay, day 2. We're going to do a quick recap of day 1, and then we're going to move on.
Right.
Tell you what we're going to be doing today.
Because a lot of day 1's footage is more just like sped up.
Right.
So not much of us talking about what we were doing.
So, as you can see, we're in a different location. We are in the sewing room today because today is sewing day. Yay, we get to actually use some machines. So day 1, we read the specs and cut out the pattern pieces and then cut out the fabric.
Right.
What did we learn?
So the pattern was not difficult to cut out, very time consuming, not even, because there aren't that many pieces. But I was just envisioning, oh God, which line do I cut on? And it was very easy.
Very easy.
There was a certain amount of cursing, which for your benefit we took out, just for getting, A, poking ourselves with pins.
Yes.
And B, just getting enough room for both of us to be cutting at the same time was one thing. And maneuvering the patterns just because they're very big pieces.
Right.
I did learn that I must have failed cutting in kindergarten because I have very raggedy edges until at some point you'll see I went over to the rotary cutter and everything just went much smoother for me.
Also much faster for her.
Right.
Sadly, I am not that steady with a rotary cutter.
I've gotten less afraid of it so that as long as I go slowly, I can do what I want it to do.
Right.
The biggest thing is, taking your time. But that worked much better for me, was the rotary. And I think I've been watching a lot of sewing videos recently that I may go to books as pattern weights as opposed to necessarily feeling that I have to pin every little tiny section.
Okay.
Because I see a lot of people just put
things down.
I mean, some people have very cool, fun pattern weights, and some people just use whatever is heavy on hand.
Well, Lord knows we have books.
Right.
In every room.
Especially if I'm doing with the rotary cutter, because with the rotary cutter, I'm kind of holding it down with my hand along the edge and going along. So.
Okay.
That was my big thing. Just also know that you have to leave a lot of time for cutting.
Yes.
As with everything sewing is 10%. Actually, sitting at the sewing machine is 10% of the job.
Okay.
So.
All right.
So today,
I am going to read the pattern, so I know what I am doing.
It's about 11:45,
which is about 45 minutes later than when we wanted to start. However,
we're going to get something done before lunch, and my goal is to cut the interfacing. There's not a lot. We don't have to interface a lot of it. Cut the elastic, again, 2 pieces, 1 for each of us. And then we have to zigzag all our seams, which is going to take some time.
You know what's going to take the longest time? Finding my zigzag foot.
Yes.
I don't know where that is. I'm going to have to figure out.
How to zigzag on my machine. I knit. I do knit straight, but I stitch
pretty much straight. Yeah.
Yeah. Straight stitch.
We have probably 4 different machine types in this house.
Right.
And I have feet for all of them. So I have to figure out which ones go with the Jazz 2, and out of the ones that go with the Jazz 2, which one of those is a zigzag foot? So I'm going to have to look that up and find the foot first.
How do I make my baby lock do a zigzag?
Oh, that I can do.
I'm pretty sure I know
that
exactly
I know how
where
to do.
The knob is.
So it's just
which
finding the
stitch.
foot. I have my zipper foot and my straight foot.
And my walking foot. I know exactly where all those 3 are. My 1/4-inch foot, my zipper foot, and my walking foot.
But other than that, I have no idea. I know I have a basic idea of where it might be. It's just finding the right one.
Right.
So that's what I'm going to do first, is find the zigzag foot.
We will also today try and check in more often on camera as to what we're doing through each step. So.
Okay.
That is the goal.
That is the goal.
We shall stop the dog from garbage picking. And
what did she take?
I am assuming it has something to do with food. So some kind of cracker wrapper or something.
Okay, as long as it's not something that's going to hurt her.
I've taken the glue away from the dog, and now we will go interfacing.
All right, so as we say, to the machines!
To the cutting mat. We're not sewing yet.
Oh.
Go find your feet.
I'm going to find my feet.
Okay, zigzag feet have been found. So we're set for that. Okay, next update. Mary Beth has actually read the pattern and we probably don't need the zigzag feet. So there's that. 15 minutes wasted. Fine.
But we know where it is.
Right, we now know where
so the next time we need it, we are ready to go.
When we need to zigzag, we can zigzag. So interfacing has been cut, elastic has been cut. I'm about to put on the interfacing. And Mary Beth is trying to figure out what we're doing.
I am trying to figure out what a flat-felled seam is.
Okay. Do you know what a flat-felled seam is?
It is kind of like a French seam, only you sew down the seam allowance. So it's stronger. We're doing it on the sides where we attach the front to the back.
Okay. I'm putting on interfacing. I know how to do that. Okay. Interfacing is on. We figured out we don't need to zigzag. So I think we're actually going to sew something. A pocket.
Starting with the pockets.
I'm waiting for my pattern reader. You guys should all sew this way. Have your own pattern reader who just tells you what to do. Pockets are on. Lunchtime. Okay, we have had lunch, gone for a walk in the rain with the dogs, and we are now ready to put these skirts together. I think we are pretty much, the pockets are in, so now it's doing I know the next part is the waistband, and
we're just sewing the waistband together.
And putting it aside, yeah.
And putting it aside. We have to do a fold. There's lots of little folds where you do a fold, and there's a reason for everything.
Right.
It's just, it's like, why am I doing this fold now?
Yeah.
It all makes sense in the end.
And you ignore things because you're like, oh, well, that doesn't make any sense. And then you find out later,
oh, you really needed to do that.
That did make sense.
Because now your skirt is on like half right side out and half inside out. So, yes, we are going to back to the machines, and we're going to start sewing together the waistbands.
And then
I believe we start putting together, we have to do the back. So we have to seam up the back because it's in 2 pieces.
And then put the plackets on.
And then put the plackets on and then sew up the sides.
Yeah.
Piece of cake.
Bing, bang, boom. Oh, and then, gather and put the waistband on.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Bing, bang, boom.
There you go.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Step out of frame. It is day 3. We did not finish yesterday, surprisingly enough. Guess what? It's taking longer than we thought it would.
I know. Surprise, surprise. It takes longer than you think.
You're doing something brand new and you don't do it like right the first time.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of seam ripping yesterday. But
we got a lot done.
We did.
There are a lot of pieces to this, but it comes out to be a very, very finished skirt. So I'm very pleased with
the
process and all the pieces.
Progress so far.
So yesterday we got our pockets put on. So we have pockets, we have plackets. And what was really nice about the placket is the, wow, look at your pocket. It blends right in. That's so cool. In the pattern, it was like, you do all this fiddly stuff with the placket, and then it's like, your placket should measure 3/4 of an inch. And I'm like, oh my God, it measures 3/4 of an inch. I'm so excited.
This is really exciting.
So we have 2 front pieces, and then we sewed up our backs because there are 2 pieces to the back.
And we have French seams on our backs.
French seam, please.
Look at that beautiful French seam.
So, by doing the French seam, that was what, so we didn't have to do the zigzagging or anything, all the edges, because all the edges get encased in something.
Right.
So that's our seam.
So today the plan is to figure out the flat fold seam, which I'm pretty sure I know what we're doing. It just includes cutting very close to your stitches on one side of the seam. So we decided that yesterday at 5 o'clock was not the right time to start doing this. So we decided, so we're doing that today, and then putting it on the waistband.
That's joining the fronts and the backs. That's the flat.
Right.
And then we're gonna have to elasticize the back, then learn how to gather and join.
Because
the waistband.
It's all about the waistband.
She's been waiting to do that.
I have been. I thought about it on the way, and I'm like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. All right. So that's the plan for today. We want to try and get that part done before lunch. So we got to get going.
Yeah, we pretty much want the skirt other than the buttons, probably. Because the buttons are going to be hands.
The hem I think I'm going to do for after lunch.
Okay.
Try and get the waist done and all the pieces together, and then figure out the hemming after lunch.
Because today is Monday. This video is supposed to come out tomorrow. So we have skirts to finish, videos to edit, and videos to upload all before.
I have to say,
you get to see this lovely finished product.
One of the things was I took our cutting video where we were cutting all the pieces out. That was 1 hour and 48 minutes. And I brought that baby down to like 3 minutes sped up.
Yeah.
So.
And the beginning part was like 65 minutes that I brought down to 5. So.
There's a lot of editing that goes into this, because again, surprise, surprise, it doesn't come through perfectly
right
on the first time. So anyway, we are off to sew.
Yes.
We're going to figure out these seams and get going on them.
Okay, we will check back in.
All right.
Flat-filled seams.
Seams.
Flat-filled seams have been achieved. Look at that. It wasn't that hard. Follow things step by step. Don't panic. And they work out usually. Okay, we are breaking for lunch at 2:15. But the skirt is essentially together. The waistband is on. Look at those gathers. So everything is fairly straightforward, just time consuming. So we will come back and figure out the rest of the waistband because it's just kind of hanging out there and there's no elastic in there yet. And the final steps, because there's sewing up the front and then the hem, I think, and putting buttons on. So we shall see. Hopefully this video will come out tomorrow.
And you go.
We finished the skirt and we have some thoughts. We have some alterations that we made and some things that we want to make sure that we do properly next time.
Right.
Because there's some things that we ran into, some issues, and one of the things that we need to do is make sure that you read the instructions very carefully. We would not do well on the Amazing Race because there was one point where you were supposed to use basting stitches across the two front pieces. We both did it all the way around.
This is when you were gathering the front. So we read, do your basting stitch and how to do the basting stitch. We just didn't finish the sentence. This has always been my problem. It was like my intermediates when I was on my school report cards was, needs to follow instructions. Okay. I always think that I know what they're going to say, and it's like, all right, I know what they mean.
Right. So, and you just go ahead and do what you think, and we then had to pull basting stitches rather than just from here to here. You were fighting against the back as well. So, and also because when you put the waistband on, some of your basting stitches still show. They don't get all encased in the waistband. So if I had only had to take out this many as opposed to all of them,
the whole thing, that would have been
a
little bit of a time saver. There was a thing with the pockets where she explained, and this was, I think I may have read it, didn't understand it, and Mary Beth figured it out for her second pocket, but you're supposed to
one side, the interior part of the pocket is you cut it down a little bit so that it's smaller than the exterior.
And then you're supposed to kind of move your edges together so that there's a bit of a gathering, so that the pocket's got a little bit of a give.
It's so that when you put your hand in it, you're not putting it against a flat thing. There's a little bit of a bow.
Which makes sense when you're putting it together, and Mary Beth figured it out before I did, so next time.
Right, but when you're reading it, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. For us, the two of us are very hands-on learners so that we can read something, but we have to actually do it before it really sinks in.
You know when they tell you to read the knitting pattern from start to finish before you start? And I mean, you can, but to me it's all gibberish and I have to go step at a time. Right. And that's the same way that this was, because this was very intimidating to begin with, and then it's like, okay, just take one step at a time. You know how to sew. Right. There are certain parts of the pattern, and I don't know how I would explain it differently necessarily, but seems like could have been explained a little bit easier.
Yeah, I mean, part of it was you need to cut out 2 of the front pieces, and they have to be mirror images of each other. They're not exactly the same. It's not a rectangle. There's one side is a straight line and the other side kind of flares out, and you need to make sure that you have them as mirror images. So they have them in the instructions. They show you how to lay out on your fabric, how to cut it out, and then they say make sure you do the mirror image on the second one, which to begin with was a little bit confusing because I thought rather than putting the pattern face down instead of face up, I thought they meant turn it so that the top was where the bottom was, which didn't make sense trying to put it together.
It did say that in the pattern. That was more, I think, me explaining to you because I was reading the pattern at the time. So,
but the thing is, it would be so much easier if you just folded your fabric in half and just cut once.
Right.
Because then also you have exactly the same size and cut of your pieces. Whereas my 2 front pieces were a little bit different because Helen cut out one and I cut out the other one, and they weren't the same, you know.
It all works out with, hemming and everything. It's not huge, but it's true. It would have been so much easier to just fold your fabric. I think part of it was when they're showing the layout is they're being very economical with your fabric. If you have a lot of fabric that you can play with and you can fold it over, it just makes it so much easier. So that was one thing. Some of the things that we changed that they had was with the plackets. These are some alterations that we made with the plackets. They left them open. You have a choice of either making buttonholes and sewing the buttons on the back placket and then buttoning up your skirt, or sewing the buttons through both plackets to close up your skirt. That essentially have a faux.
Right. What we did was not only sew the buttons through both plackets, but we sewed down both sides of the plackets because we don't want the skirt to gap at all. And this is going to keep it from gapping at the buttons.
And I don't know how much it would gap just doing a couple inches, because I think next time I may not.
Okay.
Because I think it makes for a prettier skirt if you have it open
at the bottom.
At the bottom.
Okay. All right.
So that,
what you could do,
if you had buttons, this would kind of go open a little bit, just kind of a little flirty.
You could just take out the stitches down here so that it opens a little bit.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, because you can always just sew your placket down to here and then go across.
So it's a preference thing. It's
it
completely
just,
a preference.
When we were putting it together, we're like, oh, well, when we sit down, isn't going to bunch up and have a gap.
Right.
So,
another thing that we changed, go ahead.
This was out of necessity, not necessarily because we thought it was better. She has you use 3/4 inch elastic, and if you have 3/4 inches to feed it through, that is because you were like to the millimeter precision on putting on your waistband, because it is a very, very tight fit. So both of our waistbands, our elastics folded.
Can I just say,
inside
elastic, inside and closed thing that you have to feed it through is the creature of the devil.
I mean, when I was putting mine through, I'm like, I don't think this is right. I don't think it fits perfectly. I think the elastic is too big. And I should have, at that point, taken it out and taken a couple centimeters off.
Well, I was thinking about that. We have to look at the elastic, because I was worried. I was thinking about it just the other day. If you cut the elastic, will it start to fray?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I could have checked.
Yeah. Will it lose the strength of it?
But I was like, no, I'll make it work. So I immediately sewed it down, because you only have the elastic in the back knot. It doesn't go all the way around, so you sew it down to keep it in place. And once it was there, then it's not coming out. So then trying to get it exactly pulled to the exact length here so you can sew it down was just
That I didn't have as much of a problem with.
But it's just, she wanted you to, before we move on to that, to sew stitches straight across the back, to fix the elastic, to anchor the elastic. And we both did it, but then the gathers got really weird because the elastic it didn't work. So we both decided that we pulled it out. So
we both took out our stitches, and the elastic now moves. Right. I mean, the gathers move along the elastic easily, which is fine because it really, number one, both of us wear our shirts on tuck 99% of the time, so you're not going to see the elastic, and even if it's showing, it's so gathered that you really can't tell.
And you have tacked it down on both sides, so it's not like it's moving around in the wash that much.
The thing is, on both ours, well, I guess you got yours pretty well undone. Mine is kind of folded, so that half of mine
that's folded.
Is folded, so that it's not laying flat.
Yeah.
So we just need to work on that a little bit.
Also, the size we did was too big.
That is definitely true.
And we followed the pattern. We measured ourselves and everything, and followed based on our waist and our hips what the pattern said we should do, and we both agree that we are probably 2 sizes too big.
Right. At least one, if not two.
So I think next time we'll both do 2 sizes down.
One of the things that we did was we pulled the back elastic even tighter so that this is gathered much more so that it pulls the back a little bit more.
Yeah, I cut probably about 5 inches from what the pattern had you do. So my back is really gathered because my elastic is that much tighter. But that's just a live and learn. Yeah. Learn the pattern, learn the designer kind of thing. So overall, this is a really, really great pattern.
Yes.
And it is a finished skirt.
Yes.
There is not a raw edge to be found.
We did French seams. We figured out the flat felled seam. So, I mean, this was a great thing as far as learning,
right?
Because we learned a whole bunch of things. I think that the next time we do this, it's going to go so much faster just because we've got part of it.
Right.
We've done it already. We did have to watch a video of somebody making it to figure out some of the instructions on the front waistband, because there was one thing about
turning it
inside out, and I just could not figure out what she was saying. And once I watched somebody do it, piece of cake.
Yeah, and once she folded it over, it was just like, oh, okay, that's what they mean.
Right.
So it was really very easy, just trying to figure out the wording of the pattern.
Right. And again, I think that's something that as you do more skirts and waistbands and things like that, we're going to pick up some more of this information so that we're going to be a lot more comfortable with it.
Because one of the things is they have you use a 5/8 inch seam on just about everything. And quilting and bag making, it's 1/4 inch seam, period.
Or 3/8. With bag making, a lot of times I do 3/8 because that's the side of my presser foot.
Right. But quilting,
it's a 1/4 inch.
Hands down, you're a 1/4 inch all the time. I mean, every so often they'll give you a 1/2 inch. But so doing it was like, why am I doing a 5/8 inch seam? And most of the time you figured it out because you need the extra seam allowance to do certain things like the flat felled seam. You need a 5/8 inch seam.
Right.
So I had seen somebody make this skirt before we started, and she said, make sure you use the 5/8 inch seam because it probably would have been something that I may have glossed over in the pattern, even though she has it all over the place in really big letters.
Right.
I would have been
I know better.
I don't need 5/8 inch seam. But anyway, as far as the finished product of the skirt, I don't think this is something that you would look at and say, oh, she made that skirt.
No.
I mean, this is
I think you might think it just because of the funky fabric.
And the buttons, because I use funky buttons.
But, you might think it because of that. But if you did it in, like, a very
staid linen or something like that. But even then, I mean, even with the funky fabric, it's just you happen to find a place
a cool funky skirt
that had a funky skirt.
Right.
So this is a really, really good finished skirt. It takes a long time.
Yes, it does.
There are several steps. I mean, it took us 4 days.
4 days. Not working nonstop.
I was going to say.
I mean, we had like 2 hours here, 2 hours there.
If we had done it in, start to finish, 2 days. This is not a day project because cutting and everything like that takes time, and pressing and
putting on interfacing and that kind of thing. The next time I do it, because I am going to make more of these, I adore the skirt. It's so comfortable. I mean, and it's got great pockets in the front. It is a super, super comfortable skirt. I'm going to make it just a tiny bit longer.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. I love during the summer to have this hit where this skirt hits, but during the winter, fall, winter, spring, I like it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make more of them, but just a tiny bit longer.
And now that we've made them too, because we had fabric that we were thinking about using, but we weren't sure whether we would have enough of it because they were in individual pieces.
Instead of having like 3 yards or 3.5 yards in one full piece, we have 3 1-yard pieces.
Right. And they're directional, and it's like, are we going to be able to do it? And we figured, for the first one, go with a non-directional pattern and something you have tons of, so you can just roll it off the bolt. So now we know we can actually go and pick and choose and decide which fabrics we're going to use.
Right.
So it's just...
Yeah, if you look at...
Also, I feel invincible and I can make anything.
Right.
Now.
If you look at my skirt, there are definite wonky spots. But you have to be looking, you have to know what you're looking for, and you have to be looking very carefully.
Right.
And also, most of the time, you have to be looking on the inside, and really too close, too intimate. Should not be looking at the inside of my skirt. Okay.
Thumbs up.
Yes, we really, really enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun to do once you got over the frustration of something not working the way you thought it was going to work, which is something that I have to work on. That is a personal problem of mine that I need to work on. But once you got over that, it was actually a lot of fun to make.
It was.
I really, really enjoyed it.
We cut it to the wire, but we also we didn't put a ton of pressure on ourselves as far as you need to get this punch done by this day because we knew it would not be fun.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right.
Really, really.
So plan on lots more of these coming.
Right.
Not so much the estuary skirt, but all different types of things, because that's it. We are now going self-made.
Anything.
Okay.
Thanks for watching.
We hope you guys enjoyed this. It's something a little bit different, but we hope you enjoyed it.
Right.
If you're new to the channel and you like this and you want more, please subscribe. And if you want to know when we post our videos, we usually post Tuesdays. This is an exception. Where we have a pre-recorded video, and then we have Fridays where we have our live video at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. But if you want to be notified, just click the bell and it will tell you every time we upload a new video.
Right. And please like and comment. Helps us get found by other people.
Yes. We actually had somebody tell us that she was watching somebody else and we popped up, and she was so glad that we did. So welcome to everybody new. Okay, so we hope you guys have a great rest of the week.
Go forth and create.
And we will see you on Friday with our live podcast where we will be reviewing the books we read in the month of September.
Right.
We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.